Hey everyone, you're watching Build Series. I'm your host, Lauren Moraski, and I'm thrilled to introduce our next guest. She won us over as Winnie Cooper on The Wonder Years and has gone on to appear in The West Wing, The Big Bang Theory, and How I Met Your Mother. She has a PhD in math and is the author of many groundbreaking math books, including her latest, 10 Magic Butterflies, out today. Please welcome Danica McKellar.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Yeah, you've been to Build before. Have you been to this studio before?
Yes,
yeah,
we did Goodnight Numbers last year.
Okay, so you did Goodnight Numbers last year, and 10 Magic Butterflies your latest. So what's special about this book?
So I've been writing math books to inspire kids, and especially girls, for years and years now, starting with Math Doesn't Suck, and I've had a lot of success. Now I'm going younger. So last year it was Goodnight Numbers, which is just a counting book, 1 to 10, as little kids are getting ready for bed. That became a New York Times bestseller list right away, which is amazing, and actually it comes out in board book form today, along with the release of 10 Magic Butterflies. This book is probably the least mathy book I've written. The math that it teaches is the different ways to make 10 from 2 numbers. So it's for little kids, you know, it's for ages 2 to 6. The story is a magical story of 10 flowers who, one by one, get turned into butterflies because they all decide that they want to learn how to fly, and this little fairy here turns them into butterflies. So when the first one's turned into a butterfly, you've got 9 flowers and 1 butterfly, and then it's 8 and 2 and 7 and 3, and it goes through that. But mostly it's just a magical fairy tale.
Amazing. I wish I had this book when I was a kid because it probably would have made math a lot easier for me.
Well, so my hope, I was a math major. I have a degree in math. I've done research, and you know, I love math personally, but I didn't always love math. When I was in the 7th grade, I was terrified of math, and I remember that feeling of just being scared, just scared to my core of not understanding what was in front of me, not feeling like I was going to be capable of doing my math homework. How many of you guys have ever experienced that, the fear of a math test, right? When it's just like crippling, you feel the hairs on your back of your neck, but it's just horrible. And I remember that so vividly. Then a teacher came in midway through the year in the 7th grade, and she completely changed my outlook on math. Suddenly, I wasn't afraid anymore. The same exact topics were suddenly doable and accessible, and I didn't feel terrified. And that really taught me that the presentation of math is everything. And that's why I started writing my books in middle school. For middle school kids, I mean, I wasn't in middle school when I started writing them. That was much later. That would be really impressive. No, but that's why I focused my attention on middle school at first, because that's that pivotal time in life when kids are questioning who they are, and their hormones are shifting, and the math is getting harder, and it's really the time when kids start losing confidence in math, especially girls. So that's why I focused there. But then I had more and more parents telling me, look, you know, can you start younger? Because I feel like my daughter was actually starting to get afraid of math earlier on. And so I said, you know what I need to do, and this is boys and girls. Goodnight Numbers is for both boys and girls, and so is this, although more girls might be attracted to it. But it's to make sure that kids never remember a time when math was scary. So from their earliest memories, it's associated with cuddle time. You know, this is a great book to curl up and with your kids, or if you don't have kids, whoever the little kids are in your life, for them to curl up with their parents or grandparents and have this warm, fuzzy fairy tale told to them that sneaks in math. So they don't realize they're learning math, but they're actually creating connections in their brains between happy cuddle time and math and numbers.
I love the sneaking in math analogy because that is the truth. I was that person scared of math. I mean, I ended up going through and taking AP Calculus, but I was fearful, and I never took the test because I'm like, I'm going to fail it. I'll get a 0 on it.
You know, I bet you would have gotten a 5.
Yeah, I was. I would
have gotten a 5.
Yeah, right. It was a confidence
That's the high
thing.
score.
I think, right. I think it's from 1 to 5. I was like, you know, it was a confidence boost. Like, if you get your head gets around it, and it's just,
right.
you know.
And it's stereotypes that start when we are this young. I remember when I got to UCLA, I just finished the Wonder Years, and I was ready to start a new chapter of my life, and I was like, okay, here I am, and I'm moving on. Of course, no one else was moving on. They were all still calling me Winnie Cooper on campus, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I ended up discovering was a new identity in math. I remember, but I was afraid of it. I was affected by the same stereotypes that they get at most of us. I didn't see myself as being good at math, even though in high school I had gotten a 5 on the AP Calculus BC AP exam. I'd done the best you can do, and yet I didn't think I would succeed in college math. In fact, I was sure I wouldn't. I was afraid of taking a college math class because to me, people who are good at college math, was some other level of like alien smarts. Like that's not, I mean, that's definitely for other people. And I didn't look the part, for sure. I got there, I started taking math classes, and my very first class, I took the midterm, and I scored the highest of 163 people. And I was floored, and I was hooked. I just thought, my goodness, you know, I feel so capable and smart and valuable for something that has nothing to do with Hollywood. And it was really useful for me. And I realized, though, you don't have to have been a child star to be struggling with your identity as a teenager. And having something like confidence in math that comes from just practice and having it be presented the right way, that is a gift to young kids that no one can take away.
I'm thinking back on the teacher that you had. Have you been in touch with her, the one that kind of was pivotal?
Yes, Barbara Jacobson. She is still alive. She's in her 90s now.
Wow.
And she and I got back in touch after Math Doesn't Suck came out. That was my first book in 2007. Math Doesn't Suck is for middle school kids, and I wrote the entire foreword about her.
Oh, that's really sweet. Basically, so then it got you guys
so
back in touch.
Someone told her about it, and she reached out to me, and I didn't know I wouldn't have known how to find her, but I'm on social media. I'm easy to find. And she found me. It was great.
That's great. Now, when you went to UCLA for the first time, you were going to pursue film, right?
I was.
And so, what was that switch for you? Did you take a lot of classes?
Well, so I took that one math class, and I did so well, and I was floored. I was just taking it because it was part of the general requirements. It was going to fulfill a requirement. I mean, you don't have to take multivariable calculus to fulfill a requirement, but that's just a little insight into me. I like challenges, and I just thought, oh, that must be really hard. I'm going to try to do it. That's just my personality. So, but I didn't know I would succeed. I didn't know I would succeed so much. I had no idea. I had math professors saying, you have a gift, you know. These are people who don't own a television. They were like, who are you? You know, you're really good at math. You have to pursue this. You must continue. And that whole feeling, again, of feeling valuable for something different from being an actress was like a drug. I had to have more, and so I said, you know what? I'm going to take a break from acting, and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to be this like smart person for a while and see what I can do with that.
What would you say to someone who says, okay, I look at her, it seems like it comes naturally, but it doesn't come naturally for me, or it doesn't feel like it comes naturally to me?
It didn't. It doesn't come naturally. I've always had to study really hard. I've always have. Like I said, in the 7th grade, I was terrified of math. I used to literally come home and cry. I was so afraid of failing. And even through college, I had to study really hard. But I knew that it was a challenge that if I could succeed, I'd feel so good, and I always did. I used to call it a math high. And you don't get a math high for just doing easy problems or problems that are easy to you. I'm not like that. I'm not a savant at all. I'm not even good at adding numbers in my head. You can ask my mom, who's watching right now with my son. Hi, guys.
Hey.
She asked me to add 2 numbers together, and I'm like, okay, wait, let me think. And for some reason, calculus and infinity and things like that. The artfulness of math, that has always been more attractive to me. But the other stuff is fun, too. I like any good puzzle, but I would not say that it comes naturally. I do. I actually do physical puzzles at home, too, with my husband, and we love it. But we're not, like, super fast. It might take a while, but that's the fun of it, is piecing it together, whether it's that or an actual math problem or whatever. That's part of the fun of it.
Does your son like math? Is he into it? How old is he now?
He's 7.
He's 7. So this book could be kind of a little bit old for him? Easy for him,
Yes, easy for him. This is for ages, I would say 2 to 6. It teaches the different ways of making 10, so he's way beyond that. I mean, he's doing 3-digit addition and subtraction, but I homeschool him.
Okay.
So he gets a lot of math at home. But not too much. I actually restrain myself quite a bit. But I have some books coming out in June, one of which is for 6- and 7-year-olds, and that he's just learned all that stuff, but it's really fun going through it with him. It's not out yet, but I have a copy of it at home.
So. Oh, gosh. So what is the process for something like this? I mean, obviously the artwork is beautiful, too.
Yes, Jen Bricking did an amazing job. I believe this is her first book as an illustrator. She does work, I think, in cartoons, and it has a more cartoony look than most books do these days, most children's books, but I really liked it for this because I wanted something magical. I said, I want to feel the fairy dust on the page. I wanted to like almost sparkle, although it doesn't actually sparkle, but it kind of feels like it does, and that was always really important to me. I just love the job that she did with it. Look at that little butterfly, how sweet and hopeful and happy she looks. And I love the fairy. I said, I want her to be like Tinkerbell, but I want her to be more ethnically vague. I want her to represent as many girls as possible. So let's give her dark hair and dark eyes and darker skin and make her I just want little girls to be like, that's me, or that could be me. And the blondes have plenty of those books already.
Yeah, there you go. I love that. You're always hearing that the United States is pacing behind other countries in terms of math and science. I mean, what can be done to make us stronger in that arena, rather?
Yeah, I spoke to Congress actually about this very thing many years ago, before I started writing math books. And I was invited to speak in front of a subcommittee of Congress about the importance of women in math. And the reason was they were investigating, why are we falling behind and how can we tap into our untapped resources like women? Because we are underrepresented, and other groups as well that are underrepresented, but I was there representing women being underrepresented, and I studied, and they had a whole 100-page report about the problems and why there aren't more women in math, and I discovered that it's middle school. Middle school is the time when it hits, and why? It's societal. Yeah. It's because there are so many stereotypes that tell us that math is boring or hard, too hard, and not useful, and all sorts of other strange myths. I mean, look, math can be boring and scary, a firsthand, experience of that, but it's a language, and you can talk about anything in the language of mathematics. You can talk about your taxes, or you can talk about, the formula for your lipstick that you're wearing. I mean, it's the language of the sciences, and it's the language of the world. So in my books, the ones where I actually teach math, this is math snuck in. The ones where I'm actually teaching math, every chapter, every topic, I give at least one example of how you could use it in the real world. Because otherwise, when I was in the 4th grade, I remember asking my teacher, when am I going to use this in the real world? I think we were learning long division. And he said, well, he clearly didn't have an answer. He's like, if you became a math teacher, I was like, what kind of crazy cycle is this? You learn math so you can become a math teacher to teach people math so they can learn math to become a math teacher? I was like, no, this can't be right. Yeah. So I want to make sure I'm doing the best job that I can to make sure that people have an answer. All teachers have an answer for whatever topic they're teaching in middle school.
Well, you are definitely a role model for a lot of young people who are trying to learn math. In addition to this, you are also acting still, and you just starred in a Hallmark film about Valentine's Day, right?
Yes, and it re-airs tomorrow night on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so what's this? I know you play a florist.
Yes. It's called Very, Very Valentine, and it really is very Valentine's-y. It's every frame of this movie looks like Valentine's Day. It's got pink and red roses. It's just got decorations everywhere, little hearts, flowers, and I play a florist, so of course there are a lot of flowers. It's beautiful. I play a florist who gets the chance to go to a big masquerade ball. It's a big Valentine's masquerade ball, and so I get to wear a mask and everything, which, by the way, was made out of metal, and it was really uncomfortable. But it looked cool, and that's what matters. But it was gorgeous, gorgeous. And so I go there, and my best friend Henry is the one who takes me there. He has to work most of the night, so I end up meeting this other masked man. We fall in love, and we dance the night away, and then he has to leave in a hurry. So much like reverse Cinderella, he leaves. I don't even have his name. He drops his boutonniere on the way out, and being that I'm a florist, I pick it up, and that's my clue. It's my only clue to track him down. And Henry helps me find him, but Henry is conflicted because he's actually in love with me, and I don't know that.
And hence the complication. So it's a really, really fun movie. It's on, like I said, tomorrow night, Valentine's Day at 6 o'clock. We did a bunch of giveaways for its first premiere, which was over the weekend, and I might do a few more giveaways, too. The flower shop that I work in is called All in Bloom in the movie, and so they have these little florist cards. Like if you order flowers, you get a little card in it. So they made a bunch of extra ones, and so I've been signing them for people who tweet with me and about the movie.
Fun, actually. I love that kind of stuff. I did a pre-order promotion for 10 Magic Butterflies as well. I like interacting with people. I love social media. It's so much fun to share and interact and do giveaways.
I actually found out on your social media that you were a teen beat writer when you were growing up, and you were giving advice to young people, like when you were a teenager, right?
Yeah, I was.
What advice would you give to yourself as a teenager now that you're older?
Yeah, so first of all, it was Teen Beat magazine. Does anybody here remember Teen Beat magazine? Yeah?
We're getting some nods in the crowd. Yes.
Teen Beat. It was awesome. It was called Dear Danica. That was my column. I was so excited that we had the alliteration for that, Dear Danica. And yeah, I wrote relationship advice. And back then, there was no email. I'm really dating myself now. This is 1990, just before email. Yeah. And so I would handwrite them out and fax them.
Wow.
to New York. I was in LA, and then they would type them up and print them, and then they would send me the letters. Like, they just send me a bunch of letters every month, and I'd pick which ones I was going to answer and then send it in. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. So that was back then, and what advice would I give myself back then? I mean, I used to write in a journal, and I had a lot of teen angst.
Yeah.
So I would just say, you know what, relax. It's all going to be okay.
Exactly.
And yes, boys are going to like you, and you're going to have friends, and just relax.
Well, I understand the Wonder Years actually.
And math is going to be a good thing in your life. Don't worry.
Right. Math is going to be good. It's going to save your life.
Yes.
But I understand the Wonder Years actually listen to some of your conversations and yours and Fred's, your co-star, about what you were talking about, and kind of weave that into some of the show.
Yeah, they definitely used our actual dialogue, our actual conversations. Yeah, one of the things that I remember is we were talking about somebody, and I said, well, do you like her, or do you like her?
Oh my gosh.
And they used that in the show. That was a conversation that we were having.
I remember
a real
that
conversation.
episode.
It was a few weeks later. I was like, what?
That was great.
That looks really familiar.
Amazing. Well, it's amazing that it's been 30 years since the show premiered, actually, last month, right? I mean, does it feel like, 30 years, you're probably like, oh gosh, that feels like forever ago. You've done so much since, but...
Yeah, I guess I don't have to date myself with the fax machine thing. Since
because...
I'm talking about
we're talking
20
about
or
it
30 years
anyway.
ago.
I know, there were a lot of headlines about it
last
month.
month. Yeah. But...
Yeah, I mean, how does it feel that long ago to you, or...
Yes.
Yeah, it does feel long.
Okay. It does. I mean, the show was with me every day in a way, but it was my childhood. So just like my childhood feels like a long time ago, so does the show. But I mean, it was a great experience, and people ask me all the time, do you wish you could get away from the show? And the truth is, the show has given me so much. And all the parents now who buy my books for their kids, they watched me on the Wonder Years. That's how they know who I am. I mean, they might appreciate the fact that I do math and that I care about it so much, but how they find out about me and why I'm here today is in large part because of that show. And I know that, and I'm grateful to it.
Yeah. Where do you think Winnie would be now?
I think she would be doing exactly what I'm doing.
Nice.
I think she would be writing math books for kids. There was an episode where she scored higher than Kevin on the SATs in math. And they made a big deal about it because he was his ego was bruised by it. So they made her good at math. And so I think this could be what she was doing.
I love
I think I might actually be her.
Is it her? Is it there? Right. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like with the way that show ended, could you ever imagine a reunion show?
Probably not. And I'm asked that. That's probably the most common question I get asked is, would there be a reboot? Because there's Fuller House and Roseanne and all these things. I don't think we would. Our show is all about nostalgia and bittersweet memories and looking back on your childhood, and I don't think it would work. I think it would take something away from the show. So I think it's best to leave it as it was.
To bring it kind of back to the math thing, you were on that show. You were also trying to go to school. How did that work? How did that work out for you? Because you're talking about 7th grade. I'm like, that might have been the age that she was on the show.
It was. Yeah. That was that first year. Although I think my math thing all happened before. It was near the end of the 7th grade that the Wonder Year started. But yeah, going back and forth between school and acting, it could be tough. We had 3 hours every day on set where we had to do schoolwork, but I usually did more because I had more work to do than that. But we would do 30 minutes of a history or a math test, have to go and do an emotional crying scene, and then come back and finish the test. I mean, that kind of stuff happened. They tried not to, but that's how it had to go. That's how it had to go. And I would say that I worked maybe an average of 2 days a week, and I went to my regular school the rest of the days.
Oh, okay.
So it was a big juggling act, and I really learned how to compartmentalize. I'm doing this right now, and now I'm doing this over here. And that has helped me tremendously in my life today as a mom and a math book author and an actress. And many times I have to be doing this right now, and I'm doing this right now.
You wear many hats. Yeah. So what's next for you?
What's next is more books. I have got 2 more math books coming out this June. I am planning to do another Christmas movie for Hallmark Channel. Probably do maybe another one before then, I'm not sure, because I have a lot of writing to do. And a lot of time, of course, spent with my family and homeschooling my son, which is the best job in the whole world.
I love it. I love it. Okay, what are your Valentine's Day plans now that we talked about the Valentine's Day movie?
I'm not sure if I should, well, okay. I'm doing a little something for my husband on Valentine's Day, but we usually go to a restaurant on a different night.
Okay, yeah.
Because Valentine's Day is ridiculous in the restaurants, right? I mean, they're all booked up. The food's not as good because they have to make so much more of it. They want you out in 2 hours, and it's impossible to get a reservation.
And they put a higher price tag on it.
They put a higher price tag on it.
Yes.
So we're going to go out over the weekend.
I like this plan. You like that plan? I like that plan.
Practical, it's still romantic. It's just practical romantic, right?
Just on another
That's
night.
the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
All right, good. Well, we have a lot of questions from the crowd here,
Oh.
so hang tight. Who is up first?
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks.
As you were talking about before, you were saying that math is kind of like solving a puzzle for you, and I was wondering, do you approach acting roles the same way?
That's a really good question. And a lot of people have asked me if there's any connection between math and acting. And there really isn't, except for learning my lines, I guess. Now, in terms of the puzzle aspect, though, that's a really good way to put it, because I do tend to like to break down my characters kind of like a puzzle. Like, how did she get to be feeling this way here? What would have happened? Like, filling in the pieces of the puzzle that aren't even there in the script in order to give her a backstory so that I can relate to her and figure out what's motivating her and why she feels certain ways and what thoughts are going through my head while I'm saying certain lines. I've found that that's one of the best tools as an actress to make moments full, is to know what I'm actually thinking about when I'm saying something. And that's like filling in a puzzle. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Who's next?
Hi, this question is really geared more towards older individuals, like young adults. How would you help them get over math fears? My undergraduates, and especially my graduate students, I'm a professor, are just petrified of statistics, and they put it off until the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, I haven't written a book on statistics yet, but in general, I mean, math phobia, to me, Math Doesn't Suck was my first book. I have a lot of parents say that they read it to get over their fears to help their kids with math. In terms of people in college, I would recommend my algebra book. It's called Hot X, Algebra Exposed. And it covers everything in algebra 1 anyway. And at least there's some tools that maybe they'll have funniest, because I teach my math with a lot of humor and a lot of silly stories. And so at least they can make some associations with math connected to that, so that it doesn't feel so scary. Just like why I'm starting young here, making sure that kids have associations with numbers that's friendly and fun, even though they're learning. Good luck.
All right, who's next?
Start them young, people. Start them young.
Hey, Danica. Was it difficult to start writing at a young age?
Well, I mean, like the advice column that I wrote?
In general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always have loved writing. I wrote in a journal when I was a teenager and middle school, so it was natural for me to start writing in my Dear Danica column, which I loved. I didn't start writing my math books until I was 30. So I don't know if that's young. I don't know. I had a lot of life experience by then. But I do remember when I started writing Math Doesn't Suck, my first book, I remember because I wanted so much to connect to middle school girls and help them, and I had it in my head for so long what I wanted them to understand ever since I'd spoken at Congress, that I remember this feeling like somebody picked me up and put me in the water, and my arms were already waving, and like they put me in the water and I just started swimming already. It's like I was already midstream doing it, and it was just so natural, and I knew that I was, they say your dharma is your purpose in life. I knew I was in my dharma at that moment. I was like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do.
Thanks for that question. And Danica, thanks for coming by today. We
my
loved
gosh.
having you at Build. And everyone, thanks
pleasure.
for your lovely questions. Thanks for watching at home. Get the
And-
book. It's
and
out today.
Yes, and McKellarmath.com, I should mention. All these books I've been talking about, you can find them all at McKellarmath.com. There's a big slider button, so depending on the kid's age, you can find the right book. It's
Book
because
for
there's a lot to
everyone.
keep track of.
Yeah.
A lot of books to keep track of. But this is out today. So fun for kids ages 3 to 6. And come find me on social media and tell me what you think of it.
Amazing. Let's give it up one more time for Danica McKellar.
Thank you.